Hi everyone, and welcome to the weekly predictions based on astrology for the week of November 4, 2019. First, let's just quickly highlight a few things that I mentioned last week. One was that I think I only got one day correctly as far as the direction of the market, so that was quite unfortunate. However, as far as the focus between, I guess, October 26th and November 4th, 2019, that I was expecting to come kind of a stronger focus on the mining, coal, steel, mudslides, tunnels, earthquakes, etc. I did see an increase in, I guess I'd say medium size, maybe to large earthquakes, 5 point something and higher. And I also saw some news that perhaps some of it was expected, some of it I would say maybe wasn't so expected. So one was that there was a bankruptcy announcement of the Murray company, and Murray Energy, I guess. It's the largest private coal mining company. And I guess their bankruptcy was kind of in the works, but the announcement came during the aspects, the transits that specifically were indicating focus on like Saturnian matters, which again have to do with mining, coal, steel, underground locations, rock, etc., like large construction, as well as governments and shifts in leadership, especially old established leadership. Speaking of that, we did have also announcement of the McDonald's CEO stepping down, and because of some affair that they had or consensual relationship. So that is both in line with this ongoing sort of Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, which is just something that's been on in 2019 and will continue in 2020, but had coincided, as predicted, with just changes in leadership at the top of large corporations, as well as governments, people who were in power for a long time, or people who are really significant, either passed away or stepped down or were removed. And again, last week, or rather 26th to 4th of November, I was expecting sort of increase in news like that. And one more news that actually came, I think today, on November 4th, is that I guess there was some news about the mining company in Brazil, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Vale or Vale, that apparently their CEO or vice president, I'm not sure, leader of some sort, had foreknowledge of the dark conditions there. They received an email about 2 weeks prior to the actual collapse that had killed 270 people, and they basically chose to not act on it. And again, not something that necessarily happened this week or over the weekend, but I did expect November 2nd through 4th to see increased focus on such topics, and indeed on the 4th this news has come up. And of course in the US we have this whole talk about the impeachment of Trump and all that stuff. So again, focus on leadership, leaders being accused of various bad things, which is where Pluto comes in, because it is both secrets revealed but also kind of manipulation, power plays, etc. So this brings us to this week, this influence where I was expecting increased sort of probability of earthquakes, etc. It's not going to be as strong moving like Tuesday onward. Again, the background influence is in place through 2020 and will be on off kind of more or less significant, particularly in upcoming January 2020. But this week, aside from Monday, I think the influence will be kind of going down a little bit. We also had some, of course, as predicted, anti-governmental protests, and various like relations all over the world this weekend, various like attacks with knives, and I guess protests in Hong Kong that also resulted in some casualties, or at least wounded people, etc. So this again coincided with this aspect that I was predicting would be kind of felt more strongly over the weekend, but likely it will be not as it will be kind of dissipating moving forward into this week, so it's not going to be as stressful in that sense. And for US and for China, through kind of finishing up here through November 5th, we have influence somewhat similar, where it basically indicates increased focus on financial industry, partnership negotiations, as well as for US, like lawyers, immigration, long distance shipments and travel, and for China, either starting or kind of reconsidering projects that have to do with like maybe reducing pollution or rebuilding after some sort of collapse, like a mine collapse, or looking to update the infrastructure. So this influence is kind of going to be, again, dissipating after this week. And so I'm not sure what exactly it means for China-US negotiations, but there's nothing actively kind of on immediately following this influence, that's going through November 5th finishing. So I would say it's really not going to be as big of a, as important of a sort of a topic in the second half of this week. By this I mean China and US kind of negotiations just may not be as prominently in the foreground in the second half of this week. So as far as the directions of the stock market, for Monday I was predicting that the stock market would go down about 60% chance, and either way, it being an important day, it actually went, the market actually went up today. I'm already recording this on the 4th. I did post my blog at belsunka.com the day before on Sunday and predicted actually this market going down previous week, but it actually was incorrect. It went up. I did predict, like I said, the focus on certain areas that did come up, including like this, steel, mining, pressure on leaders, etc. But I didn't see any specific like power blackouts. I didn't see, volcano eruptions, anything that was sort of that noteworthy. There were some, medium-sized, I'd say, earthquakes, but I didn't see anything terribly awful. And of course, there are ongoing protests in Hong Kong. So for US, November 4 and 5, Monday, Tuesday, may see positive news, or it might be an opportune time for projects or businesses related to things like, to basically margin topics such as weapons, sports, military, fires, explosives, engines, like especially car or rocket engines, and or just for moving fast and or engaging in some risky activities like racing or even gambling, or performing some sort of fast maybe move where troops are moved quickly from one area to another, or perhaps achievement in sports, or achieving something with maybe, again, developing some feature of some sort of car engine, or a new level of some sort of explosive, explosives or some ammunition of some sort. So in particularly, these projects can either achieve some success, like if there's some research, they may kind of find, the missing link, or there might be recognition on the world stage for maybe a sports achievement or something where things may have, maybe there was a new type of weapon being developed or some successful maneuver somewhere, and they may be perceived positively and or at least as some sort of sign of leadership on the world stage, and that may have a positive effect also on local domestic businesses, maybe bring them more, projects, bring them more opportunities, or even funding to continue that research, or continuing to maybe promote a particular kind of sport. So for Tuesday, I think the market will actually go up about 60% chance. For Wednesday, I think market will also continue going up slightly. Less sure of that, about 55 to 60% chance. Thursday and Friday, I think, would be down days. So slight probability, 55% chance the Thursday will be a down day, and slightly more increased probability, 55 to 60% chance that Friday will be a down day. As you see, my probability percentages are not very high for this week, just because there are no really major influences, and so I think it will be not as sort of a, I wouldn't say important, but rather it will not be a week that we will see some sharp, surprises. It will probably be slightly more chill than perhaps previous week. Another thing to mention, November 7, 8, so that would be Thursday, Friday, there may be, increased focus, and it's probably positive news, or at least things kind of unfolding smoothly for areas related to like oil, pharmaceuticals, beverages, navy, chemicals, and or there may be news about excessive water or pollution, or about some findings and some research that perhaps discovers new ways of getting something, you know, addressed that relates to these areas. Maybe water pollution, how can we kind of fix things and improve maybe especially water that's polluted with oil. So there may be some positive news about research that somehow makes things more efficient, more accessible, easier to transport, easier to clean, or something that maybe even benefit marine life. And or like I said, this could be just results of some research or a discovery that is happening either, say, by a ship or by somebody sailing or under the surface, especially underwater somewhere. So we, you know, some discovery or something finding, or even just beneficial time for research in those domains. So that's it for me for this week, and I hope you have a fantastic time, and come back and check me out. Next week I probably will try posting video blogs for the next few weeks sooner rather than later. So maybe this week watch for maybe 2-3 weeks of predictions coming up over the next couple of days. Okay, I'll catch you guys later. Bye.